There's a fear no one warns you about. It's not the fear of failure. It's not the fear of risk. It's the fear of staying exactly where you are. Let me ask you something real. Are you comfortable right now, or are you just numb? Are you convincing yourself that the life you're living is fine because the alternative feels too uncertain, too risky, too costly? You see, we've been taught that security is the goal. Find a job, get a paycheck, cling to stability like it's the ultimate prize. But here's the raw truth most people ignore. There is no real safety in stagnation. There is only the slow erosion of your spirit. And that's not safety, that's a silent form of suffering. Staying in the wrong place for too long, whether that's a job, a relationship, a routine, or even an identity, will drain the life out of you one compromise at a time. We say, better the devil I know. But what if that devil is the reason your joy is dying? What if staying stuck is actually the biggest risk of all? Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. You don't get to opt out of pain in this life. You do, however, get to choose which kind. You can choose the pain of change or the pain of regret. You can choose the fear of starting over or the heartbreak of staying small. One hurts now. The other hurts forever. People often ask me, Jay, is it really wise to chase something meaningful when I've got bills, a family, a mortgage, responsibilities? And my answer is this. It's not a luxury to pursue what's meaningful. It's a moral responsibility. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about what makes you happy. That's not enough. I'm talking about what lights your soul on fire. What brings you alive? What challenges you to grow into someone better than you were yesterday? And yes, it might require sacrifice. It might mean saying no to short-term comfort in order to say yes to long-term clarity. It might take months. It might take years. But if you don't start the journey, if you don't move toward what's meaningful now, where will you be 5 years from today? Still stuck, still stressed, still secretly resentful of the life you settled for? Listen carefully. You're not meant to live in quiet desperation. You're meant to evolve, to adapt, to rise. But the illusion of safety will seduce you. It will whisper, don't change, don't risk, don't try. And you'll mistake that whisper for wisdom until one day you realize your passion has been replaced by passivity. Let me tell you why this matters so deeply. Because when you stay in the wrong place for too long, you start to internalize the wrong message that this is all you're worth, that dreams are for other people, that your life is just a series of obligations, not opportunities. But that's a lie. And you don't have to live by it. Here's the truth. If your current job is destroying your spirit, you don't just walk out the door, but you also don't stay paralyzed in it either. You strategize your way out. You grow your way out. That might mean taking a night class, learning a new skill, updating your resume, facing the fear of rejection, rebuilding confidence that's been slowly chipped away. You can't leap without a plan, but you can plan your way to a leap. No one is coming to rescue you. You've got to build the version of you that can walk out of the cage you're in. And here's what most people get wrong. They think that pursuing something meaningful is for the lucky few, for the rich, for the bold, for those without responsibilities. Pursuing meaning isn't just for the privileged, it's for the disciplined. And discipline doesn't mean perfection. Discipline means commitment to your future self, even when it's inconvenient. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you treated yourself like someone you were responsible for saving, not someone you criticize, not someone you tolerate, but someone you believed in so deeply that you refused to let them stay stuck? How would you speak to yourself? How would you lead yourself? How would you fight for yourself? Because that's the mindset that begins to change everything. I've worked with thousands of people from monks to millionaires, and I've seen one truth repeat itself again and again. When someone commits to pursuing what's meaningful, even if they're scared, even if they're uncertain, their life starts to shift. New doors open, new skills emerge, new courage is found, not because it's easy, but because they chose to become someone who refuses to stay small. So if you're waiting for a sign, if you've been walking through your days in a daze, telling yourself someday or maybe later, this is it. This is your wake up call. The clock is ticking, but so is your potential. Start where you are, use what you have, but refuse to end your story in a chapter that doesn't serve you. Before we move on to the next section, I want you to sit with this. What would your life look like if you stopped settling and started choosing what's meaningful, no matter the cost? 2, drop your answer in the comments. Like this video, if it stirred something in you, ATSU. Subscribe if you're ready to make meaning your mission. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Let's keep going because this journey of becoming is just beginning. Let me ask you something simple. If your life were a blank canvas, what would you paint? I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm talking about vision. Clear, grounded, real. A vision that's not about escaping your life, but about designing it. See, too many people drift through life like leaves in the wind, reacting, surviving, maintaining. They don't steer, they don't aim, they just exist. But here's the truth. You were never meant to drift. You were meant to design. And you cannot build a meaningful life if you have no vision for what that life looks like. Now, before you say, Jay, I don't know what I want. I've never had clarity. Let me challenge you. Because deep down you do know you've just been too distracted or too afraid to say it out loud. Here's how you begin. Start by asking, if I treated myself like someone I deeply cared about, what would I want for them? What kind of friendships would they have? What kind of partner would they choose? How would they spend their mornings? What would they learn, build, and stand for? Most of us don't lack vision. We lack permission to believe we're worthy of a better one. One of the biggest shifts in my life came when I stopped chasing motivation and started building an ethos. Let me explain. Motivation is temporary. It fades with feelings. But an ethos, a personal code, a philosophy you live by that stays even when life breaks you open. Your ethos is your inner compass. It's what keeps you going when you're tired, tested, or tempted. So what is yours? Do you live with honesty even when it's hard? Do you choose growth even when it's painful? Do you speak with courage even when your voice shakes? If your life doesn't have an ethos, you will always depend on moods, reactions, and comfort. But when you build an internal code, you become unshakable. I often tell people this. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And the most powerful system you can install in your life is a vision fueled by an ethos. It's not about goals that sound good. It's about becoming someone who lives in alignment with who they want to be. So here's a challenge. Write it down. Don't just think it. Write your life like a blueprint. Write the kind of energy you want to bring into rooms. Write the kind of person you want your future children to meet. Write the kind of impact you want to leave behind when your name is spoken in rooms you'll never enter. And don't wait for clarity to come. Create it through action. This is why I created journaling frameworks like future authoring, because without a clear story of where you're going, your past will keep writing your future. And I want you to hear this. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not behind. You are simply at the part of your story where the author finally picks up the pen. Let me walk you through a practice. Imagine your life 5 years from now, not a fantasy, but a vision that stretches you. Where are you living? Who's beside you? What kind of work are you doing that actually matters? Name the values that matter most to you. Is it integrity, growth, compassion, discipline? These are your ethos anchors, your non-negotiables. Reverse engineer the process. What habits does that version of you live by? What do they say yes to? What do they no longer tolerate? And once you have that map, start walking it imperfectly, consistently, courageously. Now, here's the resistance. I often hear, but Jay, what if I fail? Here's my answer. You will fail. You'll miss days. You'll feel stuck. You'll doubt, but that's not the point. The point isn't perfection. The point is direction. Every step you take toward your vision sharpens your identity. And when your identity changes, your reality follows. I want you to imagine for a moment a version of you who is mentally disciplined, emotionally grounded, spiritually clear. They don't escape their pain, they process it. They don't chase approval, they create alignment. They don't beg life for meaning, they build it. That version of you exists. But you won't meet them by accident. You meet them through intention. This is why building a life vision matters. Not just because it gives you goals, but because it redefines who you believe you are. Without that, you'll keep returning to versions of you that feel safe, but no longer serve you. The gap between the life you live and the life you long for is filled with the habits you commit to. You don't need to leap tomorrow, but you do need to take a step today. You want to become more resilient? Start building morning rituals that anchor your mind. You want more clarity? Start reflecting, journaling, and decluttering your distractions. You want transformation? Start doing hard things with love, not just motivation. Because one thing I've learned from sitting with monks, CEOs, artists, athletes is this. Clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from walking. So here's what I want you to remember. Vision without action is fantasy. Action without vision is chaos. But vision with action becomes identity. And your identity, that's the engine of everything. In the next section, we'll go deeper. We'll talk about challenge, why so many people run from it, and why those who embrace it become the most powerful versions of themselves. Let's keep going. There's a reason most people feel empty, a reason so many walk around exhausted, even when they've done nothing hard, a reason so many feel lost, even when they followed the so-called rules. It's because we've been conditioned to believe that ease is the reward, that comfort is the prize, that security is the highest goal. But here's the truth, no one tells you. A comfortable life will never create a powerful one. Your soul doesn't grow in safety. It grows when you lift something heavy and realize you didn't break. It grows when you step into responsibility and discover your strength. See, life was never meant to be easy. It was meant to mean something, but we've traded meaning for convenience. We've confused challenge with threat, and we've forgotten something essential. You are built to carry weight. Most of us think we need to escape responsibility in order to feel free. But true freedom, the kind that liberates your mind, stabilizes your emotions, and anchors your identity, doesn't come from avoiding responsibility. It comes from owning it. You don't rise by being untouched. You rise by being tested. And life will test you. It'll test your patience in the moments you want to scream. It'll test your faith when nothing makes sense. It'll test your character when no one is watching. But hear this, every test is a mirror. It doesn't show you what's wrong with you. It shows you what's possible for you if you choose to grow through it. One of the biggest lies you've been told is this: responsibility will trap you. Irresponsibility traps you. It keeps you immature. It keeps you reactive. It keeps you small. But when you really decide to carry something meaningful, whether that's your family, your mission, your values, your healing, you stop asking, what can I get? And you start asking, what can I give? What can I build? What can I endure for something greater than me? That's when your life stops being a game of survival and starts becoming a story of significance. I remember sitting with a monk who once told me, the weight you choose is lighter than the weight you avoid. I didn't understand it at first, but then I looked around at the people carrying invisible burdens they never chose. The stress of living a life that doesn't align, the fatigue of pretending to be someone they're not, the guilt of knowing they were meant for more, but never tried. And I realized he was right. The moment you voluntarily pick up responsibility, you give yourself power, not the power to control everything, but the power to face anything. Let's get real for a moment. Some of you right now are suffocating in situations that feel soul crushing, jobs that drain you, relationships that diminish you, habits that sabotage you. And the reason you haven't walked away is because you're waiting for something to change outside of you. But transformation doesn't start with your circumstances. It starts with your ownership. Own your response, own your attitude, own your path forward no matter how steep it feels. Responsibility isn't a burden. It's the bridge that takes you from who you've been to who you're meant to become. Let me explain something neuroscientifically. Challenge triggers growth, not just emotionally, biologically. When you do something hard, something uncomfortable, something that stretches you, your brain actually rewires. It grows, it adapts, it sharpens. That's why comfort feels good but rarely leads to clarity. It keeps your mind soft. It keeps your spirit distracted. But when you face difficulty, your system upgrades. You develop resilience. You build tolerance. You gain mastery. So when people ask, Jay, why do I keep feeling stuck? My answer is usually simple, because you've stopped lifting anything that requires your full strength. Responsibility doesn't have to be grand. It can start small. It's waking up on time when no one's watching. It's sticking to your word when it's no longer exciting. It's choosing truth over comfort every single time. And the most radical form of responsibility? Self-responsibility. No one is coming to save you. No one is responsible for how you react, how you grow, or how you rise. You don't need a rescue mission. You need a moment of clarity, a moment where you decide, I will no longer outsource my power. I will no longer blame the past, the economy, my upbringing, or that one mistake. I am choosing to respond with presence, with discipline, and with purpose. Now, don't get me wrong. Responsibility is not about taking on everything. It's about choosing the right things. There's a difference between carrying what's meaningful and dragging what's toxic. Some of you are carrying shame that isn't yours, carrying expectations that were never aligned, carrying roles that no longer reflect who you are. Let them go, because true responsibility isn't about proving your worth. It's about living it. So here's a truth I want you to tattoo into your mindset. Responsibility is the only path to real transformation, not affirmations, not inspiration, not waiting for the right time, but choosing every single day to carry something heavy and do it with grace. Because when you do that, life changes. You become trusted. You become respected. You become magnetic. People may not always understand you, but they'll feel your strength. And most importantly, you'll feel it too. Here's what I want you to reflect on today. What are you carrying in your life that's weakening you? And what are you avoiding that could actually strengthen you? Because the truth is, you don't need a lighter load. You need a stronger spine. And that's what responsibility builds. The kind of internal structure that can weather any storm. In the next section, we go deeper into what happens when you truly commit to change, not just mentally, but physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll hear a story that proves transformation isn't a fantasy. It's a choice, and it's possible for you. Let's keep going. Let me tell you a secret about transformation most people don't want to hear. It doesn't begin with motivation. It doesn't begin with inspiration. It begins with discipline. Real transformation isn't sexy. It's not the highlight reel. It's not the post after the glow up. It's the part where you show up tired, unsure, unseen, but you do the work anyway. Discipline is choosing your future self, even when your current self wants to quit. I want you to picture something. A young man in his mid-negative 20 seconds, smokes a pack a day, drinks too much, sleeps too little, body out of shape, mind constantly racing, life chaotic at best. That was Jordan Peterson. Before the best-selling books, before the lectures, before the clarity. Why do I share that with you? because we look at people who've made it, authors, leaders, speakers, and we assume they started that way. We forget that behind every powerful voice is a painful decision, a moment when they said, enough, not just enough of the bad habits, but enough of the delays, enough of postponing who they were meant to become. And maybe you're standing at the same edge right now. There's a lie we've all believed at some point that change has to happen all at once, that we need to have everything figured out before we start. But discipline isn't about massive leaps. It's about small, repeated actions done relentlessly. Peterson didn't go from chaos to clarity overnight. He quit smoking painfully, slowly. He started working out humbly, awkwardly. He went to the gym and could barely lift, embarrassed, judged. But he didn't stop, because that's what discipline looks like at the beginning. Uncomfortable, inefficient, unrewarded, but it's real. And it builds something that motivation can't. Identity. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Not just saying, I'm disciplined, but proving it action by action to your subconscious. You don't become strong by thinking strong. You become strong by choosing strong habits when no one is clapping. So many people say, I'll be disciplined when I feel more confident. But confidence doesn't come before discipline. It comes from discipline. You build confidence in the reps. You build identity in the silence. You build transformation in the trenches. Peterson went on to gain 30 pounds of muscle. He became a prolific writer. He trained his body, his mind, and his soul to carry heavy loads. And none of that came from inspiration. It came from systems, from sacrifice, from sweat. It came from saying no to things that felt good, temporarily, so he could say yes to what was meaningful permanently. And that's the line most people are afraid to cross. They want the reward, but not the rhythm. They want results, but not routines. Let's get practical. Here's what transformation through discipline actually looks like. You stop negotiating with yourself. The alarm goes off and you get up, not because you want to, but because the person you're becoming would. You choose structure over chaos. You don't just hope your day goes well, you design it. You create routines that anchor your mindset. You say no often, not out of deprivation, but out of dedication. You say no to distractions, no to overconsumption, no to anything that pulls you away from the vision you wrote down in section 2. You track your commitments. Discipline is data. When you track it, you own it. When you see it, you believe it. Discipline is also deeply emotional because it means grieving the old version of you. It means letting go of the comfort you used to reach for, the people who used to enable your distractions, the habits that once gave you a false sense of control. But here's what you gain. You gain integrity. You gain stamina. You gain trust not from others, but from yourself. Do you know how powerful it is to trust your own word? To know that when you say, I'm going to do this, you actually do it. That kind of internal alignment, that's where peace lives. That's where power grows. Some of you right now are stuck in identities you've outgrown. You know it. You feel it. But the only way to become the next version of you is to start doing what they would do. Not next month. Not after the holidays. Now, who does the future version of you need you to be today? Not who feels good, not who fits in, but who builds the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to go. Let me tell you what discipline is not. It's not punishment. It's not restriction. It's not perfection. Discipline is devotion. Devotion to your growth. Devotion to your values. Devotion to the life you were born to live, not the one you settled for. And yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be boring sometimes. Yes, you're going to want to quit. But every time you push through, every time you show up, despite the noise in your head, you're not just making progress. You're making history. Your story becomes the evidence that change is possible. Your life becomes the message someone else will use as their starting point. So today, Ask yourself, what one habit can I master for the next 30 days? Not 10, just one. Because you don't need another plan. You need proof. And proof comes through practice. This is how the old you ends, not with a dramatic explosion, but with quiet daily acts of rebellion against mediocrity. This is how the new you begins, with discipline that isn't loud, but is undeniable. Let me be brutally honest. There is a war happening in the world today. Not a war with weapons, but a war between two mindsets, competence and entitlement. And the scariest part, entitlement looks innocent at first. It whispers, you deserve it. You shouldn't have to struggle. You've been through enough. Something good should just happen for you now. But here's the problem. Entitlement waits for the world to reward it. Competence builds the value the world can't ignore. And in the end, only one of those mindsets leads to a life you're proud of. Let's be real. Somewhere along the way, we were sold a lie that we're all supposed to be equal in outcome. That fairness means everyone gets the same result, no matter how much they put in. But equality of outcome has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with growth. And it has nothing to do with fulfillment. You don't get fulfillment from being handed something. You get it from earning it, from knowing you didn't skip the steps, from knowing you showed up again and again and again, even when no one was clapping. That's what builds pride. That's what builds resilience. That's what builds a life that lasts. Let me tell you something powerful. In any industry, in any relationship, in any calling, you don't rise because you want to. You rise because you're ready to be trusted. And how do you become trusted? Through competence. Competence means you've mastered something, not by accident, not by shortcut, but through sweat, time, and commitment. It means people can rely on you. It means your work speaks louder than your words. It means when life shakes you, stay steady. I've seen this everywhere, from monks to CEOs to tradesmen. The ones who rise not because they shout the loudest. They rise because they serve the deepest. And they don't just serve anyone, they serve a need. They solve a problem. They carry a weight others can't or won't carry. That's what competence island. So here's the question. What weight are you willing to carry for the world? What can you do better than 99% of people because you've put in the reps? You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be born with talent. You need to earn mastery through the fire of effort. Now, I'm not saying the world is fair. It's not. Sometimes people get ahead by cheating. Sometimes the loudest person in the room gets attention. But here's the long game. Competence always outlasts noise. You don't want to be the person who just looks the part. You want to be the person who is the part. Because when the storm hits, and it will, only those who are deeply rooted will still be standing. Jordan Peterson tells a story about hiring a plumber. The guy says, "You don't need to test my joints, they never leak." Guess what happened? 30 leaks, 2 inches of water in the basement. That's the thing about fake competence. It doesn't leak until it matters most. You want to be the person whose work holds up under pressure, whose preparation becomes a form of integrity, whose excellence becomes a form of service. And you don't get there by demanding reward. You get there by demanding more from yourself. Let me break it down. In today's culture, we praise visibility more than value. But value is what keeps doors open long after the hype dies down. It's your skill. It's your consistency. It's your quiet obsession with getting better. If you're an artist, get so good, they can't ignore you. If you're a plumber, glue every pipe like your family's going to live in that house. If you're a leader, lead like the people under you are trusting you with their lives. Because in a world of mediocrity, excellence is rebellion. You want to stand out. Stop trying to be seen. Start becoming so valuable that people feel your absence when you're gone. That's what the world is craving right now. Not more noise, more depth, more real work, more people who take their craft seriously because they take their character seriously. And I want to talk directly to those of you who feel behind. Maybe you weren't top of your class. Maybe you didn't come from wealth. Maybe you've been overlooked or underestimated. Good. That means you've got fire. That means you've got hunger. Now all you need is direction. Here's what you do. Pick one thing. Just one. Don't try to be everything. Choose something worth mastering. Be obsessed with getting better. Not flashy. Just better. One skill. One day. One lesson at a time. Stay humble. Stay consistent. Let others chase applause. You chase excellence. Because one day, when the lights fade, when the noise dies, when the fake experts disappear, you'll still be standing. Why? Because competence doesn't age. It doesn't expire. It doesn't need validation. It speaks for itself in results. Let's talk about legacy. When you die and one day you will, what do you want to leave behind? Titles? Followers? A reputation built on smoke? Or a trail of work so solid, so deeply rooted in integrity that people you never met are better because of it? That's what it means to live through competence. That's what it means to rise with substance. So today, strip away the entitlement, strip away the need for applause, strip away the story that someone owes you something. No one owes you. The world rewards value. The world follows skill. The world respects effort that never gave up. So give it, build it, become it. And when the world finally recognizes you, you'll smile because you'll know you didn't fake your way there. You built your way there. Let me speak directly to you, the young woman wondering if her voice will ever be heard, the young man aching to prove he's not just another failure, the soul stuck between who they were and who they might become. This world is trying to tame you, to convince you that staying small is safer, to tell you that blending in is easier than standing up. But I need you to hear this. You were not born to blend in. You were born to become. We live in a culture that celebrates comfort but punishes responsibility. We praise instant gratification and mock long-term growth. We reward surface-level performance and ignore the deep work of identity transformation. But if you are young or young at heart and you feel like no one's ever told you the truth, then let me tell you now, you have something inside you that this world desperately needs. But it won't come alive by scrolling. It won't awaken through ease. It won't emerge by accident. You have to build it. You have to choose it. You have to become it. And becoming is not a trend. It's not an aesthetic. It's not about lighting incense and hoping the universe delivers your purpose. Becoming is brutal. It's bone deep work. It's peeling away everything that isn't you, so the real you can finally breathe. Becoming means looking your potential in the eye and saying, I'm coming for you, even if it costs me my comfort. I went to Harvard recently, a place filled with the brightest students in the world, top 5% of every class, straight A students, the ones who made it. And yet, when I spoke to them, they didn't look empowered. They looked confused, disoriented, hungry not for information, but for direction. They told me, Jay, I wish someone had told me this in year one. I wish someone told me I had to become more than a grade, more than a resume, more than what my parents expected. And I realized something painful. We've raised a generation of students, but not warriors. Dreamers, but not doers. Consumers, but not creators. So this is my message to you if you're under 30 or just tired of wasting your potential. I don't care what you study. I don't care what job you have. I don't even care how lost you feel right now. I care about this. Are you becoming someone you'd respect? Because if the answer is no, you already know what you need to do. You don't need more applause. You need more alignment. Stop chasing validation. Start chasing clarity. Pick up a book, not because it's on a syllabus, but because your future self requires it. Learn to speak, not just to impress, but to inspire. Learn to think, not to debate people on the internet, but to solve real problems in the real world. Learn to lead, not from ego, but from purpose. You don't need more opinions. You need more discipline. And to every young person who thinks it's too late, you're not too old. You're not too far behind. You're not too damaged. What you are is right on time. If you choose to wake up now, you see, most people don't become who they're meant to be because they're waiting for permission, but life will not hand you a permission slip. You must write your own rules, write your own code, write your own legacy. And let me tell you something else. You don't have to be the best in the world, but you damn sure better become the best version of yourself. Do you want to know why so many people feel miserable? Because they're watching themselves waste their potential in real time. They're watching the days pass, the gifts rot, the energy drain, and they're doing nothing to stop it. They're haunted not by failure, but by the silence of an unlived life. Don't let that be you. Become someone who chooses discipline over distraction, who chooses truth over trend, who chooses purpose over popularity. Be the one who says, while others scroll, I'm studying. While others complain, I'm creating. While others hide, I'm healing. And I promise you, if you do this consistently for even 1 year, you will not recognize the person you used to be. You'll look back and say, that was the moment I stopped waiting. That was the moment I stopped wishing. That was the moment I started becoming. You don't need a full plan. You need a starting point. So here's where you begin. Choose something hard and commit to mastering it. Not for the result, but for who you'll become in the process. Choose one lie you've been believing and replace it with truth. Stop saying, I'm not enough. Start saying, I'm becoming. Choose one daily habit that feeds your future self. Just one. Wake up earlier. Read 10 pages. Journal for 5 minutes. Whatever it is. Honor it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Let me leave you with this. You are not here to be liked. You are here to leave light. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to become powerful. You are not here to wait for the world to see you. You are here to become someone who can no longer be ignored. So rise. Even if your voice trembles, even if your past haunts you, even if your knees shake, because the world does not need more noise. It needs more you. Not the version of you that pleases everyone, not the version that fits in, but the version that knows, I am becoming and nothing can stop me. There's a question I want to ask you, one that most people avoid their entire lives. What will they say about you when you're gone? Not just at your funeral, not just in the eulogies, but in the quiet conversations, years later, when your name comes up in rooms you'll never enter again. What will they remember? The titles you chased? The opinions you collected? Or the truth you embodied? You see, the world teaches us how to make a living, but very few ever learn how to build a legacy. And here's the truth. You don't leave a legacy by accident. You build it choice by choice, word by word, day by day. Legacy isn't just what you leave behind. It's what you pass forward. It's not about being famous. It's about being foundational. The kind of person people build on. So ask yourself, are you building a life that outlives your own ego? Because every word you speak, every habit you repeat, every challenge you rise to is shaping your legacy right now. Not someday, not after success, not when the world recognizes you, but now. And this is where most people get stuck. They think legacy comes from big moves, from headlines, from platforms. But your legacy isn't what you post. It's what you practice. Your legacy is in the apology you made when you were wrong, in the patience you chose when you were angry, in the love you gave when no one was looking, in the boundaries you upheld, even when it cost you comfort. That's what people remember. That's what echoes. But here's the hard truth. You can't build a legacy with a weak foundation. And the foundation of every legacy worth remembering is discipline, values, and vision. We've talked about all of these in the past 6 sections. Now, it's time to build something real with them. So how do you become the architect of your legacy? Let me show you the blueprint. 1. Define your core values and live by them publicly and privately. Ask yourself, what are the non-negotiable principles I want to be known for? Is it truth, compassion, excellence, integrity? Once you choose them, Don't betray them. Because the second you compromise on your values for validation, you start building a legacy on sand. Live them in the light. Live them in the shadows. Let your actions scream your convictions so no one ever has to wonder who you were. 2. Embrace long-term thinking in a short-term world. We live in a world addicted to instant results, instant recognition, instant dopamine. But legacy isn't built in days. It's built in decades. It's the man who shows up for his children every morning. It's the woman who writes one honest page every day. It's the human being who never lets today's chaos make them abandon tomorrow's calling. You've got to zoom out. Legacy builders play the long game. 3. Make excellence your standard, not for applause, but for alignment. Don't do things to be noticed. Do them so they're unforgettable. Because the truth is, someone will pick up your work. Someone will live in the house you built, literally or metaphorically. Will they thank you? Or will they curse your shortcuts? Do your work with such care that people feel loved by the quality of your effort. Whether you're writing, parenting, plumbing, speaking, cleaning, leading, make it sacred. That's how legacy lives in the cracks of ordinary life. 4. Heal what you didn't cause so you don't pass it on. Let's get real. Some of what you're carrying wasn't your fault. It was inherited, brokenness passed down, patterns repeated. But here's the power of becoming conscious. You get to interrupt the cycle. You get to say, this trauma ends with me. This silence ends with me. This addiction, this anger, this emotional absence, it ends here. Because healing is legacy. You are not just transforming your life. You are rewriting the story for everyone who comes after you. 5. Give more than you take. This is the simplest truth of all. Your legacy is the impact you leave in someone else's story. When they were lost, did you guide? When they were down, did you lift? When they were doubting, did you speak life? You don't need millions of followers to do this. You don't need a stage. You just need intentional presence. Be the person people remember for how you showed up, not for what you showed off. And now I want to speak to the part of you that still thinks you're not qualified to leave a legacy. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've hurt people. Maybe you've wasted years. I get it. But legacy doesn't belong to the perfect. It belongs to the redeemed, to the ones who chose to rise again and again, to the ones who use their pain as fuel and their growth as a gift. You are not disqualified by your past. You are deepened by it if you choose to transform it. So from this moment forward, I want you to make a decision. You are not just going to exist. You are not just going to get by. You are not going to let your story end with regret. You are going to build something unshakable, something that lasts, something that will make people say, because of them, I believed again, I healed, I grew. That's the legacy that matters. That's the life worth living. So here's your final challenge. Choose your values and live them louder than your fears. Stop outsourcing your worth and anchor it in alignment. Create your days with intention so your decades leave an impact. Be ruthless with your habits and generous with your presence. Heal what hurt you and give what you never got. Because if you don't become the architect of your legacy, someone else will write it for you. And I promise you, you are the only one qualified to tell your story. This is your final section, but it's not the end. It's the beginning of your real work. The part where you stop waiting, the part where you stop looking for motivation, the part where you start building brick by brick, breath by breath, moment by moment. Your future self is already watching, proud of who you're becoming. Now go build a legacy that makes them proud to carry your name. This is your time. Not to impress, not to perform, but to become. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Let's go build something that outlives us.